morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We got an absolutely loaded show today. Texas women's basketball head coach Vic Schaefer going to be joining us here in just a moment. And then, of course, it's also Hump Day with Heels. So two great guests here on a Wednesday morning. But, guys, before we get to Vic here in just a few minutes, there was some team news that came out yesterday regarding some departures of the team. Bobby?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this yesterday morning, and I did not put his name out there because I wanted to make sure that he had the opportunity to make sure everybody in his circle knew, frankly, before it went public. But Jarrett Gibson, the running back out of Gainesville, Florida, by way of IMG Academy, has elected to no longer be part of the Texas team. He left the team on Monday, and he is no longer part of the team and will not play the rest of the year. That is a loss of sorts, in that Gibson was the preferred third down back in the absence of Cedric Baxter. Now, Texas is hoping to get Cedric Baxter to return soon. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but Jarrett Gibson, no longer part of the program. Will Stone, the kicker, who has missed 2 games, I think in order to preserve his red shirt, also expected to transfer as well. So not a big surprise on Stone, because Mason Shipley had taken over that job. Texas has also recruited another kicker, likely will do so again this offseason to make sure they get a guy that has some experience next year, so kicking the football. So we'll see how it all goes. But Jarrett Gibson, tough break for him. But Jerry, I think a lot of people will point to his fumbleitis that he had. But I think the issues with him went a little bit deeper, in that he didn't really have a clear path to be a primary back at Texas.
Yeah, so I'm going to go a little different direction, because I want to say this. Just because a guy transfers doesn't mean they won't be a good player somewhere else. I think this is more of where we're at in college football with the portal is kids want to, if they've only played in 4 games and they're going to transfer, you do it now and you let it be known that you're on the market, so you can start get your agent or whoever, your advisor, whoever you has. I know that's a tough thing because these guys leave during a season, essentially, is what's going on. But that is just a change with the portal. Guys are going to play forwards, preserve their red shirt if they can, instead of giving away that year. That is, by the way, that is why I think it's important to go to this 5-year rule period. That needs to get done sooner rather than later, to take some of these situations away a little bit more. So a kid can still play out a season. He doesn't even have to announce during a season that he's going to jump in the portal if he doesn't want to. He can play out a season and not worry about losing a season, because he only got 5 anyways. That rule needs to go. This needs to happen fast here. But look, James Simon was starting to take over as the number 3 running back at Texas, and I think that's clearly where things are headed. And I expect us to see even more of James Simon moving forward, as we'll get to later, especially whether Cedric Baxter can go this weekend or not. So, and as far as the kicker, I think Texas they have Jake Collette in the high school level. I think they'll also look portal after the season.
A couple other notes as it relates to that. I mentioned that Texas going to be looking around now and seeing what they can do internally to maybe replace Jarrett Gibson in that role. Michael Terry, I am told, worked out exclusively at running back yesterday in team workouts. So the big freshman from San Antonio, Alamo Heights, going and working out at running back yesterday. He played some running back in high school. I was told he looked natural there. So we'll see how it goes and what this means. But look, I think that some guys think they need to be the guys, and I don't think there was a clear path for Jarrett Gibson to do that at the University of Texas. And whether there's 5 years or whatever, the reality of it is he made a decision that he thinks is best for him. And I want to say this, and I know Jerry agrees with me. We wish him the best of luck wherever he goes. This is not a situation where Jarrett Gibson was some sort of difficult player to deal with, anything like that. So we wish him nothing but the best of luck.
We're about to bring in Vic Schaefer, but first, Bobby, tell everyone about Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm real quick.
Can't wait to talk to Coach Vic. Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm have been helping injured Texans for 20-plus years. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, and think you might be due compensation, reach out to Adam and his firm for a free, no strings attached consultation to see if you might be due compensation from 18-wheeler to ATV and everything in between. Adam and his group will help you out. Again, that is loweylawfirm.com. I want to mention this. Adam not only sponsors us here at On Texas Football, but also many University of Texas athletic events and entities. Appreciate his support, not only of On Texas Football, but the Texas Longhorns in general.
All right, let's bring him in. Coach Vic Schaefer, how we doing this morning?
Morning, man. How y'all doing?
Look at you with that, Coach. I like that cactus behind you with the hat on it. Hey, are you about ready for the season to tip off? You got a inter-squad scrimmage coming up this weekend. You got some single-game ticket sales. I think it's a record ticket sale year for the women coming off that Final Four appearance a year ago. What's going on there in women's basketball land?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. We've had 15 practices. We had the SEC Media Days yesterday in Birmingham, and just trying to get better. We talk about getting better 1% every day, and this year with this team, there's some people out there in the media and the public that think pretty highly of this group, and they've been preseason ranked pretty high, and so just trying to teach them to live it, and just because somebody thinks it or writes it doesn't make it true. You got to go live it, and I'm pretty good about reminding people of that, and not letting them get too caught up into that kind of stuff. So, just excited about this team. That on paper, we potentially, should be better, but paper don't win, and you don't play on paper. So you gotta go live it. You gotta walk it. And we've been working really hard. I've never done this, y'all. Because of our struggles getting into the Moody, and then with our new men's coach, Coach Miller, and the two previous men's coaches always worked out early in the morning, so I didn't run into him in the afternoon. But because he likes to work out in the afternoon as well, to try to not practice at 6:00 at night on days where we might, one has to go at 3, the other needs to go at 6. I've gone to Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at 8 a.m. And I know football works out in the morning, and like I said, my two predecessors on the men's side did. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are at 2. So it's been a good fall, but we're not quite ready to wear number 4 just yet, but we're working on it.
So my question is, whoever did your schedule, are they off the Christmas card list, first of all? And if you need any help in Vegas, I'm more than willing to go. I'll carry bags or whatever for UCLA and Duke or South Carolina in back-to-back days.
Yeah. Hey, you're right about that scheduling piece. That is a nightmare on Elm Street. And unfortunately, I'd have to murder the messenger here, because ultimately the buck stops here. So, you add playing Baylor on a neutral floor. Yep. They're top 16. You got Richmond, they're top 25. We had a knockdown drag out with them last year at their place. Going to open with UCLA and either South Carolina or Duke in the next game. You got number 11 North Carolina coming here for the SEC ACC Challenge. It's a lot, guys, and we still have to go to South Dakota State. And I promise you, they'll be hanging from the rafters up there.
Oh yeah,
when we play them up there. So but I have to tell you, my kids, and they'd rather play those games than play those 3 named directional schools. And unlike the coach, I'd rather play a few more of those to get some confidence for my young kids. But really only have one freshman. My 3 sophomores have been to the war, so they know what to expect. And so you hope that you can do what you did a year ago. We were 10-0 in games decided by 10 points or less, and that's really hard to do, as y'all know. And winning's hard enough. Doing it in that type of those types of games is really, you have to commend that team last year, and that team obviously was very special. So we're excited about it. Hey, we're not running from anybody. We'll go play anybody and everybody. I think we've proven that over the years. So it's just a lot early, and so we got to be ready early.
Okay, Coach. Go ahead,
Jerry. Give away the secrets this year, but I assume you'll want to get Rory and Brianne on the court together a little more this year if possible. But how do you kind of put that together? And obviously then let people know about Ashton Judd, Bria, Sid Berry, some of the newcomers on this team. I think Aaliyah Crump we've talked about before, but obviously she's a talented freshman.
Yeah, and since you brought up Crump, I want y'all to give her a big shout out. She went down to one of the local high schools yesterday, and through her agency Clutch, and gave the entire team, outfitted the entire team with warm-up shoes.
Oh, cool.
Everything. I mean, it's really, really a cool, neat thing that she did. And I think KXAN covered it very well. It's on Twitter, but just so proud of her. So glad she's here at the University of Texas. Kid's going to be a great player for us, can really shoot it and fill it up. And, but just to see what she did yesterday in our community with a team, a women's basketball team, was really special. The playing Bree and Rory together, certainly we'll do that a little more. We did it in Canada some. The issue becomes maybe a little bit offensively. You don't want to fall off. I think Jordan Lee has had a really good fall, and she's proven to be another option on that other wing. And then along with Aaliyah, those two probably shoot it a little better than Bree, but you would hope if you play Bree and Rory together, you've got a holy terror out there defensively and can really cause some problems with pressure and that kind of thing and getting in the press. So I think that's where, if Bree's going to play with Rory, she's got to bring that entity to the game, because that's really the number one reason why we'd play them together. Sid Berry and Ashton Judd, let me tell y'all, those two kids that as seniors transferred here, we needed a 4-player to go with Justice Carlton, who was obviously as a freshman last year and coming off a knee injury in high school, wasn't probably quite the same player as the number 6 player in the country coming out of, being a junior in high school was. But the fact that they both chose to come here, knowing that both of them were coming, we needed both of them. They both came in. When one committed, I was excited, but then I wanted to call the other one and let them know, to give them the opportunity. Hey, we did get a commitment, want you to know. And when we did that, the other one said, hey, Coach, I'm in. Like, okay, that's great. I want to come too. And so you have to really tip your hat to those two wanting that. And then I had to call the other one back and go, hey, just so you know,
yeah,
we just called the other one, and they said they still want to come. And they said, well, that's great, because I'm still coming. So you have to tip your hat to those two, not running from competition in their senior year, but running to it, wanting to be a part of that. And so those two have been absolutely fantastic. You talk about two great kids, bring it every day, attitude off the chart, great. So those two, along with Brea Cunningham, who I think I've told you I lost out on her the first time. She was the number 2 player in the country coming out of high school. She's second team all Big 12 at Arizona. She had to play a lot in Canada because Kyla went down 8 minutes into the first game and didn't get to play again during that tournament. I think she had 17 points and 8 rebounds in 8 minutes, and then sprained her ankle and didn't play anymore. So Brea got a big dose early, and but Brea's really done a great job. Body's changed, again, great. Her physical stature has really changed, and so she's worked really hard since she's been here. And again, a great kid. She's got a little stuff to her, y'all, which I really like.
Yeah,
And you got to have that edge, and she's got a little bit of stuff to her, which again you got to have. So I love the three kids we got out of the portal, and then you add Crump, the four new ones to go with our returners. Booker's been off the chart, y'all. She's taken another step.
Coach, I was going to ask you about her, right?
Yeah.
She spent a lot of this year or this offseason with the national team. You know, really, she's a superstar for you, right? I mean, she really is. You think she's taking and preparing to take that next step? Because she's been tremendous already, right?
Yep.
But she's going to be, it looks like she's going to be one of those women that has a career in basketball for a long period of time, I guess is the best way to put it. Has she taken that next step, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think the next step for her is the leadership role, and
Okay.
she's really been phenomenal in practice in the mornings. She's obviously taking care of herself, going to bed early. She comes in here every day early to get her shots up. She's been great with Crump, trying to get that freshman acclimated and being positive with her, because as you know, a freshman can struggle sometimes, and that's just part of the growth part, right? But just she's really been good this fall. She's been exceptional, not good. She's been exceptional. And so again, she's just a pro in how she approaches herself, her game, everything about her just exudes elite. And so again, when you have someone like that, it usually permeates through your team a little bit. And she certainly impacted our team that way. And again, just the kid's special, y'all. I hope this place realizes it. She's going to have a chance. You know, when you talk about Rory Harmon, she's obviously separated herself, 1,200 points, 700 assists. Nobody in the history of the program's ever done anything like that. Madison Booker is going to have a chance to be the all-time leading scorer and be the greatest to ever play here. She's already won 4 gold medals, y'all, and she's 20 years old. I mean, she's the most decorated. I would say she's got to be one of, if not the most decorated college players on our USA team ever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who else was at 20 had won 4 gold medals. There probably was somebody, but currently, man, I don't know who that is.
Hey, Coach, I got a question for you. One of the discussions in the college side on men's basketball is going to 4 10-minute quarters instead of 2 20-minute halves. From your perspective, why do you like that from the 4 10-minute quarters versus 2 20-minute halves? Because I do think men's basketball is headed there pretty quickly.
Yeah, you know, Sean and I talked about that yesterday on the plane on our way to Birmingham. They're the only sport left in basketball that does that. We moved from 20 to 4 10s because of the international game, the international rule. And so I'm a traditionalist. I liked the 20-minute halves, but I've experienced that more than I've experienced the 4 10s. And so I'm sure, you know, the men have been a little more reluctant to change some of these rules that we've just jumped all over on the women's side, and we've just changed things just to change them sometimes, I think. And then sometimes we change them because the men are doing it. And sometimes that's not necessarily the right thing, but you know, I would be fine with going back to 2 20-minute halves. I'd have no, because you get a timeout at 16,
Right.
12, 8, and 4.
Right.
I mean, it's not like, you know, with the 4 10s, you get a media at 5, and then you get a timeout, obviously, when you change quarters. So you're getting a few less medias in that game, the 4 10s versus the 2 20s. But at the end of the day, I don't think it affects our fans or how they look at the game one way or the other. And I think that was part of the decision early on.
Coach, I think this is something that we need to close up on this here, because the reality of it, I went to a game with you guys, or actually 2 games last year. The South Carolina game in Moody was one of the best sporting events on campus all year long, in my opinion. Wadey Keys, one of our listeners, says, "Love how tough your teams play, Coach. Hook 'em." And I want to say this, that they are the embodiment of that. I mean, they play hard, they play tough, they play end to end. And I know from a Texas fan perspective, they absolutely love that kind of tenacity and effort they put out on the floor. You guys put out on the floor every night.
Well, thank you. That's that's really, at the end of the day, if I walk off the floor and know we played our guts out, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like the outcome and everything else is really second for me. If I think we've just laid it all on the line and, we did all we can do, but we played our heart out, I'm good. And that's, this is last year's team we're talking about. I'm trying to impart that to this year's team. One of the things on paper I talked about, hey, we could, potentially be better. We've signed some kids out of the portal that maybe we're better at the position they play now than maybe what we had statistically a year ago, especially toward the end of the year. But here's what any coach will tell you. They always got that one player, right? That maybe statistically they might not be leading your team in any category, but they're leading your team in wins. They're leading your team in culture. They're leading your team in attitude. I'm still looking for the next Shea Holly. All that kid did was win. She's the all-time winningest player in the history of Texas basketball, men or women.
Yeah.
The kid, just incredible character, incredible work ethic, great teammate. She just won. And her presence in our program over 5 years, you just can't put a price on it. I don't know that you know what that price is until you have to live without it. And I'm living without it right now. And, she was special. And it's why she's going to be great in the business world, wherever she ends up. But the kid just wins. And again, a great kid, great family, raised right. Parents get all the credit in the world. But just never had a bad day, y'all. You think about it, any athlete on any team in any program, who can say they never had a bad day?
Yeah.
That kid never had a bad day, y'all. Now, I don't know that she missed a practice, was never hurt. She just special. So we got to find that person too, also to replace. And so we've got some people that are trying, and that's a good thing.
Coach, you're the first person that's ever done an interview with the coaching whistle on. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Hey, if I can be a little personal, it goes on with my underwear in the morning. You got your underwear in your drawer, the whistle on the top,
I love it.
Shorts on and the T-shirt. We're ready to go. Let's go.
Hey, my last question is, before we let you, what was the biggest fish you caught in the off season? Did we have anything memorable?
Absolutely, yeah. We went to Punta Mita with the family for the 30th birthday of my twins, and went fishing, and I caught some beautiful fish down there. Biggest redfish. Caught a few oversized. I wish I could show you this video. Y'all lose your mind. On Sunday, I was down at my place on the coast, and I ran south 45 minutes in my boat. Well, the further south you go, the more that water becomes brackish. There's some really big trout down there, but you're going to run into a gator every now and then. We ran into 4, and the last one was 12 feet.
No thanks.
And we pulled up on this point, and two of my buddies, they went out and went down this shoreline to the left, back in a cove, and I said, I'm going to go right. And these two guys are like, they are incredible fishermen. So I go right, and I could hear that guy. They make a real bellowing, deep noise when they're active. And I could hear that dude down there about 200 yards. And so there's a boat anchored about 100 yards, and I'm waiting. I'm in waist deep water waiting like we always do. But there's a boat anchored about 100, 150 off the shoreline there. And he pulls up anchor about the time that dude went to making all that noise. And that guy turns around, and I'm fishing. I've got a blow up, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm fixing to get in them. And that boat comes right to me. And I thought, man, that guy's fixing to screw up my day. And he gets about 50 yards off, and he shuts his engine off, and he walks to the front of the boat. And it's an older gentleman. He says, I don't mean to screw up your wade, but there's a 10 to 12 footer down there making all kinds of noise. He said, you're headed to his direction. And I said, hey, no problem. Appreciate it. He turned around and left. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to turn around and go back the other way too. Well, by the time I got in the boat, drove down, got to where my buddies were and got in the water and got to them, he had made up 200 yards. And by the time we looked down there, the one thing you can't tell how long they are when they're that far away, except you look at the snout to the back of the head. And that dude was a wall hanger.
Yeah.
And I told my buddies, I said, guys, I'm telling you, that dude's on his way. He's already made up 200 yards, and he's headed this way. And my buddy had already had a run in with a 4-footer about 30 minutes before that. And he said, you know what? We've been here for 8 hours. He said, I'm good. Let's head back to the house. By the time we got in the boat, I took video of that dude swimming by us. 12 feet long. I mean, it was crazy. But a lot of times, you're dealing when we're wading up in the bay, you got sharks, and we know that. They're not going to bother us. If they want anything, they want your fish. But we wear shark bands that keep them away, so we really don't have an issue. But an alligator, you don't really know what's on his mind.
Well, I figured you'd tell the elderly gentleman. I've never lost to the Gators before, so I'm not doing it today.
That's a good one.
Coach, thank you so much. Hey, inter-squad game on Sunday, correct?
Yeah, orange and white, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, and then also single game tickets available this year?
Exhibition game the following we got orange and white Sunday, exhibition game the following Thursday, and then the following Monday. And single game tickets on sale. We've sold over 6,000 season tickets. Most they've sold in I don't know how long. We're still selling them if you want to get them, but we got an unbelievable schedule, as was brought up early in the conversation. So appreciate y'all so much. Thanks for your time and your coverage.
Appreciate you, Coach. You have a good one. Be careful of those gators. Yeah, they'll get you. Yeah. I have no interest in being part of Alligator Fest.
No.
That's just not my way. Always good stories from him. Matty Booker, poised for a great year, I think, Jerry. Could be to his point, elite player on the 40 acres, no matter the sport, right? Yeah. It's one of those special people you don't get them every year.
Yeah.
You don't have them every single time, but that's awesome for her. All right. Need to tell some folks, thank you. Let's start with our friends over at Vaughn Lane. From Texas football Saturdays to NFL Sundays to Formula One this weekend in Austin. This fall is stacked, and Vaughn Lane is the smart way to get there. Forget TSA lines or fighting I-35 traffic. With Vaughn Lane, you board in minutes at luxury hotel terminals. Then it's just 22 big first-class seats, each with Wi-Fi outlets and an onboard attendant bringing snacks, drinks, and yes, even beer and cocktails. You'll arrive relaxed and ready for kickoff, the concert, or just family time. And with booking open through December, you can also lock in Thanksgiving and Christmas travel now. Go to vaughnlane.com. Use code OTF25 and save $20 on your first ride. Vaughn Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. I know a lot of people that took the Von Lane up to Dallas this weekend and avoided all of that nasty traffic on I-35 and I-45 for that matter. But they also go around the state, Fort Worth, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. They also Austin, as well as Plano and the Woodlands now. We also want to say thank you to our friends over at SeatGeek. If any Texas fans are going to see the Longhorns take on the Wildcats this weekend and don't have tickets and you need them at the last minute, give SeatGeek a try if you're still looking for tickets. With more than 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. College football is back and NFL is right here as well. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. Of course, we've got a deal for OTF fans. Use code OTF10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code OTF10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you from our friends over at SeatGeek, and I will see some of you guys up there in Lexington this weekend. We're going to have a get-together on Friday afternoon at Blue Stallion Brewing. That's Blue Stallion Brewing from about 4 to 7 on Friday afternoon. We'll have more details as the week progresses, but please, it's free to any and all. Please come out and join us.
All right, guys, it's Wednesday, which means it's hump day with Heels. Gonna bring him in, Tony Heels. What's up, man?
We're ready for this based on what we talked about on Saturday, Tony, at the state fair. You were all jacked up, ready to go. You had the audience jacked up at the X's event with the Dallas X's there at the fair. What did you think of Saturday? This is our first time talking to you post-game. And you're just slowly sipping your
Kool-Aid? Is that Kool-Aid this week or what?
Is that Kool-Aid?
Listen. I try really, really hard, Bobby, Jerry, and Blake, to check my ego. Ooh. Listen, when I tell you that Texas as an entirety, then I know we talk about the offensive line. This is a real offensive line segment. I get it. But we got to talk about Texas as an entirety. I'm talking about from coaching staff all the way down to the janitors in the building. When I tell you everybody was locked in for this game because they knew it was on the line and they knew it was at stake, like a lot of people don't understand the turning points of seasons, right? And how you can build on foundational wins, right? Guys, this was a foundational win. Now, specifically for the Texas offense. For the defense, what the defense that showed up is what we're accustomed to seeing. I wasn't surprised at how they took the field and they got after it, because that's the defense that we were expecting to see actually in Florida, right? And they came to play. Offensively, the thing that I liked is in football, I don't care how innovative you are, right? Win the time of possession, win a running battle, don't have turnovers, more than likely you win the game, right? So when I went back and I pulled these stats, Texas was, and win third down, Texas was 10 of 17 versus 6 for 17 for third down efficiency. They were balanced, 166 in the air, 136 on the ground. They had less penalties, but the time of possession, 30 minutes and 58 seconds to 29:02. They controlled the tempo of the game. Now, when you talk about specifically what did the offensive line do, I believe Sark might have found his formula for what this group of individuals do collectively. Power, no puller, double man-to-man blocks, right? 3 yards, 4-yard gains, 3 yards in the cloud of dust. Lean on your opponent and win the game in the fourth quarter. That's who they are. Zone left and zone right. Now, Weisner is a big, big reason for the success in the running game. He just sees the holes different. His balance, his ability to make people miss, his toughness, all of those things play into it. But collectively, the running game, the offensive line, Arch being able to have time, being able to step up into the pocket and throw strikes on 3rd and 19 to get, a 15-yard pickup. Like, you can start to see these guys coming. Now, here's what I'll say. Everybody, and I'm not saying this guy played great, right? But everybody's big worry was Nick Brooks. When I went back and watched the game again, they had Nick Brooks as an impact player. Now, why would he be an impact player? Because if he plays well, he's going to impact the game. And if he doesn't, he's going to impact the game. All this dude did after his nerves settled down is just keep getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Here's what you didn't see. You didn't see offensive line rotation. I told you guys, I hate it. Pick your 5 and roll with it. They did that, and they were rewarded. And I believe they will continue to be rewarded as long as Sark knows who he has. We saw some screens in the game. The tight ends were efficient in the game. Guys, this is the offense. They're big humans. You let big humans do big things. All in all, it's a great win against a dom. And I'm not trying to hear none of this crap about OU's offense. And listen, that defense that they played ranked first or second in damn near every statistical category. Yeah. So these were not chumps that they went out there and played on. In that third quarter, it was a 14-play drive in the third quarter where they took off like 8 or 9 minutes. Dude, more runs than passes. 9-yard pickup zone left, 9-yard pickup zone right, 5-yard pickup zone left, 3-yard pickup power no puller. These guys were literally moving the line of scrimmage pretty much on a consistent basis once that confidence came up and those calls started coming in with the things that they did. I'm excited to see what they do next because now they have to put this behind them. We got a 24-hour rule. You got to go up there to Lexington and play a tough team. I understand records and all that. I don't care. They got players. You got to be able to continually and consistently stack on the foundation that you just built. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do, man. Shout out to those guys. They answered the bell.
Tony, what about I was going to ask you about Nick Brooks, Jerry.
Yeah.
You mentioned Nick Brooks and having gone back and seen him. What did he add to the group, in your opinion?
Passion.
Tony?
Passion. Listen. Passion. Listen. This guy's 300 and they got him listed at 330. I'll tell you what, 330, 353, he's in shape. He played all 4 quarters, and this man was running down the field, head hunting, looking for linebackers, safeties. I seen him come off a block of a defensive lineman, keep running and smash the safety coming down and got up in his face like it's going to be a long day. That is what you have to have. He brings nastiness. He brings passion. When he figures it out, you're not going to be able to do anything with him. When he does, the thing about it, Bobby, he doesn't even have it figured out. Listen, he didn't just dominate. There were some schematic things, missing linebackers, missing twist pickups and all of those things. That's going to happen. That's the experience that comes with the game. Flood will get them coached up on that. But the thing that you cannot teach, you can't teach effort and you can't teach passion. You either have that or you don't. And what you saw is when you insert him in the game next to somebody like a DJ Campbell, those 2 individuals right there elevate the whole line because we're bringing the fight. We are the hammer. We're not the nail. So, and all in all, from a standpoint of his intangible passion, from his tangible, he's an athlete, man. He's an athlete. Brother has good feet. He's a long-armed guy, which if he learns to use his hands quicker, then he can keep guys off of him. You're moving in the running game. I remember we were on I want to say it was on a +20 or the +18, and it was like maybe a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3. I literally have the clip of the offensive line displacing the defensive line, the entire defensive line 3 yards up. And that was the one where Trey was kind of stuttered and he just hit it north because he wasn't used to seeing that. He wasn't used to seeing, oh my God, I got the ball and I ain't got to make nobody miss. Look at all of this space, right? You better get used to seeing that because I believe that is something that they're going to continue to do as we carry on.
Hey, Tony, I wanted to ask you, because Nick Brooks obviously is getting a lot of the mention. I wanted to ask you about Brandon Baker. Because at this point, if the right tackle doesn't have a pre-snap penalty, I think they should build a statue for him at Texas. Yep. And talk about Brandon Baker's growth and what he can build on, because that was probably his best game as a Longhorn.
Yeah. So what we'll talk about for him, as we'll start with the bottom and work to the better, right? For him, it's simple. It's simple. in pass protection, being able to sit down a little stronger on the bull rush, right? That's his thing. He gives up a little bit. He's a little light in the butt a little bit on the bull rush. But from an athletic standpoint, he can stay with anybody, right? He got better on the backside cutoffs on zone plays. That's one of the things that I was watching for him, because a lot of times he would be chasing, right? He would be behind the guy. And a lot of times on those plays, if we're going zone left, you're the backside tackle, it's a combination. Your guard can't leave you hanging when you have farther techniques, right? If I have a 3 technique, I can get under that. But if I have something that's head up on the guard, which we call a 2 or like a 2-eye where the guard is inside, we have to have different calls to switch responsibilities and to be able to have that backside hand presence for him to be able to get underneath those backside cutoff blocks. He's done better with opening up on his zones, right? So that allows him to get to those places. On the front side, man, look, make no mistake about it. This kid is not soft. No. You can run the ball on his side with him and DJ. He gets after it, right? So I think all in all, from him getting better, it's just the penalties, of course, being able to understand how to sit down a little bit on that bull rush. But his growth has been tremendous. And here's the thing, Jerry, to answer your question. We've come a long way from the Ohio State game where he was the target. Yeah. We haven't talked about Brandon Baker because Brandon Baker has been playing some damn good football. That's the reason why he's not being talked about. So I like the growth. And I think more than anything, I like the growth of Sark, because I know he wants to get out there and get freaky with those calls. I know he does. I know he does, man. Like, it probably drives him nuts when he's sitting up there on his pencil and pad and like, oh, we could do this or we could. But listen, man, simplicity wins. Simplicity wins. How do you think Belichick, minus the deflate gate, right, got all of those wins, right? It's simplicity. This is how, when you play the Patriots, whatever your strength is, they're not playing towards that. They're going to play 4 quarters of football to your weakness. And if you don't stop it, you're going to lose. And people lost a lot to that team because of simplicity. Put Texas offense in the same boat. Arch had an amazing game. And the reason why I say he had an amazing game, his game wasn't statistical. The game which was amazing was this: his mental toughness, his ability to make the play that needed to be made when it needed to be made. Guys, I've seen championships won that way, right? When you have a strong defense and a good special teams and you have a capable offense, you can win games. We've seen this. And as long as Arch continues to get better, continues to trust the system, and continues to believe in himself, and has that protection in front of him that he had, and they're getting the ball out of his hand like they did, that people better watch out. Because if you give our defense an 18-point lead, the game is over.
Yeah. Hey, Tony, you mentioned that actually, and I wanted to ask you about the offensive performance as a whole, because it felt like, and this is the first time this year where I felt like it was a good offensive performance that you could replicate again and again and again. Yeah. And you talked about, like, Bill Belichick, he was consistent.
Yes.
This offense, it wasn't that they did anything that where you were just like wowed by.
Yes.
It was just consistent. And they kept breaking through and breaking through and breaking through. That was maybe, I don't want to say it's the most encouraging thing, because I did think that to Jerry's point early last week, it's physicality, and matching that was probably the thing we all wanted to see most. But the idea that they could duplicate what they did against Oklahoma against other good teams and good defenses gives you a lot of hope. Gives you a lot of hope for the future, right? I mean, isn't that what you were trying to just articulate? They're just they can replicate this.
Yeah, no, yeah. The offense is not. Let me back it up. When we played at Texas, one of the things that made us good is that we had a staple of who we were. We were going to kill you with stretch zone, and we would throw in a couple counters and traps and things like that to throw in a little wrinkle. But we were a zone stretch team. That's who we were. We knew who we were, and we knew how to play that game, right? So what I've been clamoring for the past weeks is, what is our identity? And you saw it in that game. Our identity is when we don't have big humans pulling left and right, trying to identify linebackers that's flying across left and right because they don't have that's not in their repertoire right now as a unit. But when you put them in front of a man and say, y'all two to him, and you got him, oh, it gets dangerous. Because now all of that trying to figure out where guys are coming from, they're right in front of you. Now it's my strength versus yours, and we're big humans. So the consistency that you saw, Bobby, was Sark understanding, okay, this team, I can run zones and stretches as long as I have things that allow them to stay within their confine, their lanes. As long as I have them moving in their lanes and they can identify who they have in their lanes, they're going to be extremely effective. This is the beautiful thing about this whole game. When it's 3rd down and 2, I can do whatever. Because the line has shown we're going to move these guys. The number one defense in those categories and run defense, we're going to move these guys 2 to 3 yards just off contact alone. That is duplicatable, Bobby, because that's not schematic, man.
Yeah.
That's me versus you, and we're winning, right? So that's the excitement that I have is like, to your point, this wasn't a trickery type of situation. This wasn't, oh, we have a lot of window dressing and we confuse the secondary and boom. No, this was your typical West Coast type of offense. Get the ball out, put it in your playmakers' hands, run the football effectively. Even the times where we had the big breaks and we had penalties, those things are very simplistic. Hey, get your hat a little front side. Don't tug, keep your hands inside. Don't tug on the jersey. Those are correctable things. And you correct those things, you got 15 and 20-yard rundowns, right? That you saw consistently in the game. So I'll be curious to see if Sark for the entirety of the season can be okay with this being the offense. Can you be okay with being vanilla? Because vanilla with this team will work.
Jerry, you're muted.
Oh, man. There's a car alarm going off. I am muted. Tony, I want to ask you this. Let's turn the page to Kentucky. If you were Kentucky and you watched the film of Texas against Oklahoma, how would you attack the Texas offensive line this week?
Movement. They're gonna have some problem with movement. And the reason why I say that is because not only are you going to have movement, but you're going to have crowd noise. So you don't have the comfort of your house. So if you want to see how well your offensive line is, then test them with movement. Right, like run blitzes, right? Yeah. They're gonna see an 8-man box. I foresee actually them saying, you know what, because these guys have the ability to manhandle us up front, we're gonna see if we can wreak havoc in the run game with confusion and with movement, right? So whether that's TT stunts or ET stunts with backer dogs or ET stunts with cross dogs and secondary blitzes, like whatever we have to do to confuse the running scheme, because we can't let these guys take over like they did this last game. Because the problem is this, Jerry, if you go back and you watch that game, Texas only had 8 possessions, right? But in one quarter, they held the ball for more than 60% of that clock.
Yeah.
You don't have, so that means that if you come out as an offense and they got points, they scored a touchdown with more in the end zone. So that means if you come out with an offense against our defense and go 3 and out, then that potentially allows them to take the whole third quarter out and go into the fourth quarter. And if they get another field goal or another touchdown, you're in trouble because you don't have the offensive firepower to match that, right? So they're going to probably put this game in the hands of Arch and say, can he consistently beat the one-on-ones that we're going to give? We'll give up. We might not be as talented as the Texas receivers, but can Arch consistently make the right reads? And here's my thing to counteract what they would probably do. You don't have to always look outside. Check downs, tight ends. When you have a lot of movement and zone blitzes with defenses, the tight ends become crucial because it keeps the chains moving. So now what happens is when that line catches those stunts, it creates large holes. And with the type of backs that we have, if they start figuring out how they're being attacked offensively up front, it can be a stat game. It can be a stat game, similar to how when Wisner, when they brought a zone dog blitz, Oklahoma did last year, and Texas just washed everything off, and Wisner found that backside seal and hit the seam down the middle for like 37 yards. I'm talking those are the type of things that I'm talking about that could potentially happen.
Hey, Tony, you just mentioned tight ends.
Yeah.
You know as well as I do, Texas playing a lot of 12 personnel right now with 2 tight ends.
Yep.
And so clearly they're part of the offensive run game package.
Yep.
Have you kind of thought about what you've seen from them from the start of this season to today? Are they getting better appreciably? There's still work to do in the blocking scheme. What do you think?
Yeah, when it comes on tight ends on backers, they're very efficient. I like injuries. As a blocking tight end. He has the ability to make some things happen. I wish they would find a way to get him more involved, man. He's a talent, right? And when I say this, I'm not saying because a lot of times you do a player comparison and everybody's like, oh, but I'm saying from a standpoint of his skill set, like his skill set is similar, but the way that his length and build is and how he is consistently when they do call his number, it's Travis Kelce-ish. It's very Travis Kelce-ish, right? Meaning that I'm a big tight end. I'm not super fast. Travis Kelce is not really fast, right? I'm fast enough. I'm strong enough. I'm consistent enough. And if they find a way to get him involved, they will be rewarded often because that allows you to take deep shots because now it's like all of a sudden we have to condense the box in the middle of the field to be able to control the middle of the field that they're using with the tight end, which gives us those shots downfield, right? So I would love to see them put that in. I will say what they need to work on is the motion back blocks. So
the wham blocks.
When you're running zone and they're coming back across the seal to edge, they're not staying tight enough to the line, which a lot of times that defensive end or that linebacker is the one that's causing the play to bounce out wide on the backside. If we get that sealed off, what you essentially see is zoning this way to get backer flow and defensive line flow going to the left, and then sealing off the backside. And when you do that, you create this pathway, which they want to bend it back and hit, but they can't because a lot of times the tight ends are going too far and they're getting beat underneath. They need if they're going to lose outside, take a tighter path, lose outside. And so now that linebacker plays out of his gap, that's where the cutback plays happen. So but even that, all of that is correctable. So that's what makes me excited. It's not a thing to where we don't have the talent. It's just experience.
Hey, by the way, Tony brought an unbelievable oatmeal cream pie Saturday. And I have not gone on the scale since I ate 2 of those, and I will not until next Monday. But thank you very much, Tony the Tycoon, for the homemade oatmeal cream pies. They were unbelievable.
Listen, that's my baby, man. My baby be in the kitchen whipping it up, man. She might have a oatmeal cream pie deal from Michael Lane. We're gonna see.
There you go.
They were delicious. I literally have never had a thing for oatmeal cream pies. It's never my thing.
Yeah,
that was really, really good, Tony. Okay,
man.
Really, really good. All right, Tony, thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate you each and every Wednesdays, Hump Day with Hills. Longhorns, Tony, we got to ask you before you leave, what do you got as your score prediction this weekend?
Kentucky's offense is not very powerful. And if we get the same type of defense that we've had, I don't see them scoring a lot. Maybe 2 or 3 field goals. So I'll give them 9. Offensively, if we can continue with the same type of game plan and these guys continue to elevate and grow, I see them within the same space. So somewhere around 20. I'll give them 27 this week. 27-9.
All right.
27-9.
All right. There you go. Tony Hills. Thank you very much. Hook 'em, Tony.
Hook 'em, man. And always remember, no matter where you are in the world, if you're in Tanzania, Zimbabwe, if you're in Mali, if you're in Minnesota, wherever you are at in life, OU still sucks. Hook 'em horns.
Good week to say that, isn't it?
It is a good week to say that.
Oh, man.
Hey, we need a welfare check on Sooner Cowboy in the chat. Anybody heard from him this week?
I know. He said he'd be back win or lose, and he hasn't held up to his side of the bargain.
A welfare check.
He's probably icing his own thumb after that game.
You're clearly in a hotel room there, Jerry. You're gonna get the welfare check from the hotel staff.
Yeah.
I need you out of that room.
Yeah. Yeah, he's icing his thumb after sucking on it all week.
All right, Jerry. I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about Ridge wallets.
Not just they're more than a wallet, man. Who needs a device to charge everything? Well, Ridge has that too. Not only are do they have the best wallet on the market, now they have the best power bank on the market. How annoying is it to have all these? And like I'm on the road right now, have all these different charging cords, your phone, your headphones, your watch, your Kindle, all of them are different. Honestly, it should be illegal. How is it that we have AI robots, but we still have to travel with 5 cords tangled up in our bag just to keep our devices alive? Well, those days are over thanks to Ridge. Just like Ridge revolutionized the wallet, Ridge has now changed the game for portable charging. Sounds important if you're going to Lexington or Athens or Starkville for the 1 or 2 people that make that trip. I wouldn't make it if I were you. Ridge's 5-in-1 travel power bank has built-in cables and lets you charge all your devices at the same time with just one power bank and no extra cables. MagSafe wireless charging, Apple Watch charger, a Lightning USB-C, every way you need to charge, they're all in one premium device. No more juggling adapters and wall outlets at the airport just to get the 20%. That's annoying because it's never you're gonna be at 0 by the time the plane lands. With 20 watts of power, it charges your phone as fast as you possibly can. It's a MagSafe compatible wireless charging, so you can keep it magnetically attached to the back of your iPhone if you just want some permanent extra juice. Permanent extra juice. That sounds like a great offensive team, by the way. One thing to pack, 5 ways to power. You can find Ridge's power bank at Best Buy, or our listeners can get 10% off Ridge.com by using code ONTexas, all caps, at checkout. Just head to Ridge.com and use that code ONTexas, all caps, and you are all set. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and say, the show that Tony Hills comes on every Wednesday. That's an easy answer.
And don't forget Hayes City, Jerry.
A favorite is Jason Watts in the chat. Jason Watts, he'll meet you at Hayes City store and watch ball with you. One of our good buddies here. I grew up down the street with him. He lives near there in Wimberley. There are very few restaurants that once you go to, you immediately know they were just special. That was the case for me at Hayes City store. Watched college football there a few years ago. Hayes City store is that place. It's scratch-made Texas comfort food. They've got their famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, and homemade desserts. All of it's absolutely delicious, and all of it's just from scratch. There's also live music 6 weeks a night. They have great football watching on Saturday. By the way, Texas is on the road. Hayes City store might be a great place to go watch the game this weekend with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There's 11 TVs. TDs need 11 TDs. TVs alone in their ice house, perfect for game days. Show up there Saturday for the Kentucky game. And they even have brunch served 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. Hayes City store is dog-friendly, except if you're a Georgia fan, then leave that crap at home. And they have a tree net for kids. Join the folks at Hayes City store and bring your whole crew. For more information, check out the website at HayesCityStoreTX.com. Hayes City Store, uniquely Texas.
All right, I'm going to tell everyone about Prize Picks as well, because we make decisions daily, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And Prize Picks is simple. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get those picks right, you cash in, you can win up to 2,000 times your money. It's the best way to get in on sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and of course, right here in the great state of Texas. And I haven't made personal picks yet for this weekend, but the picks for Arch Manning are out, fellas, or the projections, excuse me. I thought we'd take a look at those. Prize Picks has him with 1.5 passing touchdowns, 223.5 passing yards, and 0.5 rushing/receiving touchdowns. So check those out. Maybe put some of those in your picks. Remember, you can do it in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTexas when you sign up. They're going to give you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Hey, I'm looking at that right now. Y'all tell me what you think of those numbers. I think under on passing TDs, under on passing yards, and over on rushing TDs.
Same place I was at. It's gonna, if it's a rain
under,
game,
over on those three.
If
For
the
me.
weather holds too, it might be a little chilly, rainy too. Yeah, it might be. I think this is a low possession game. I think this is gonna be a low possession game. Maybe one of the quicker games we've seen in college football this year, time wise.
Yeah.
Game, because I Kentucky's going to play a low possession game too. And if that's where Texas is headed, now the only way you can do that on the road is if you play clean football in first and second downs. But I think this could be a very quick low possession game.
Jerry, I wrote this morning. I get your thoughts on this. I wrote this morning on OnTexasFootball.com. I feel like Kentucky is going to try to mirror what Florida did to Texas. They've got the big running back in Seth McGowan.
Yeah.
They've got a quarterback that's streaky. Lagway is streaky, right? They may not have the receivers Florida did overall, but I get the feeling that the path to success for Kentucky, if we're putting the shoe on the other foot, is playing a game similar to what Florida did. Get out in front, try to make Texas play catch up, get out of their comfort zone, running the ball and being deliberate. What do you think that's how you see this game?
Yeah, and I think, look, I think low possession game puts pressure on the team that's favored on the road. You know, in Texas on the road, and I think if Kentucky can't run the football on first down, they don't have much of a shot because the quarterback will throw it up for grabs. He did it against South Carolina. By the way, go watch the South Carolina condensed game on YouTube. Is the one I would watch. Dylan Stewart is a tremendous football player, by the way, probably top 10 pick, maybe top 5. South Carolina had 6 sacks against Kentucky. If Texas wins on first down defensively, Kentucky's a better run block OL than pass pro. And then South Carolina had an elite player that was actually destructive, even though the stats didn't say it. I mean, he was caught wreaking havoc in that game, but then they had sacks around him. I think you could see something similar in Lexington. That was a road game for Kentucky. But to your point, Bobby, it's going to be low possession. Kentucky has to run it well on first down to give that young quarterback a chance at home. And they have to possess the football to put the pressure on Texas. That's really what this comes down to, is they have to run it well enough on first down and put the pressure on Texas in the fourth quarter and see if they can get Texas to commit those self-inflicteds they did not in the Cotton Bowl. That's going to be the key. Can you get Texas, if you're Kentucky, can you get Texas to make the self-inflicted in Lexington in the second half of this game and put themselves behind the chains? I think that's going to be I think it's going to be a fast game, low possession game.
Okay, guys, let's see here. One thing that we haven't looked at that we normally do, speaking of the game, the line has changed a little bit. Yesterday we saw Texas drop it down to about 11 and a half. Now all of them are at 12 and a half. In one book even has it going back up to 13 and a half where it opens. As far as the weather goes, nothing has changed. Still a 60% chance of rain on Saturday.
Well, could be a mutter game, you know. And Texas does not have a mutter running back right now. They got Trey Wisner and a group of guys, whereas Kentucky has a guy that's a heavy set running back. We'll see how it goes. I would say this as it relates to that. Cedric Baxter is a guy that we're monitoring this week and see whether or not he can return for the Longhorns. We mentioned this out of the front where Jarrett Gibson has now opted to transfer. He is no longer with the team. And so Cedric Baxter is the only quote unquote big back Texas has left on its roster. Right now, I would say he's 50-50 whether or not he's able to get back to this game and play this weekend at Kentucky. So we'll see how it goes this weekend. But, you know, Longhorns, they were able to run the ball without a big back against Oklahoma. Let's see if they can do the same thing against a Kentucky team.
All right. Bobby Petronic wants to know, does Kentucky play on turf?
Don't give me the line to
Yes,
you.
yeah, it's a turf field. They changed the turf a few years ago.
Okay.
So help with the rain a little bit. We got some super chats. Bobby, you've already addressed this one. Corey J here says Michael Terry might be in the running back room soon.
Yeah, he took snaps Tuesday at running back in practice.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Now, is it long term? Is it a forever move? I can't answer that, but that's where he was apparently at practice yesterday.
Yeah. And just because somebody's practice, I wouldn't get expectations out of whack on that. Just for the people that are going to ask. James Simon's a clear number 2 at this point.
I think so too.
And then Jerry, we got a recruiting running back question from Sean here. Sean, thank you for your super chat. Do we need to look for a senior riser DFW running back?
I don't think so. Because look, the big thing there too is it's more than one player transferring out, which was going to happen in this running back room, by the way. Somebody was going to transfer out. I think Derek Cooper's the high school running back that Texas will sign. By the way, play that. Do we have that tweet of him running?
Yep, I was about to add it up here for you.
Derek Cooper's interesting. I mean, he had a little bit of an ankle sprain earlier this year, but he doesn't get a ton of carries because they just beat people up. But this kid's a really good player now. He's going to be a really good player. He just doesn't put up big stats. He plays defense, but don't let the stats deceive you. I mean, that's a game he had 5 carries for like 57 yards. He's just not. They blow people out. They win easily right now at this point in the season. He's not going to put up big numbers. But for me, I only signed one high school back in this class. I look in the portal for a role player running back. I know everybody's dreaming about Jaden Baugh. It's not happening. Move along. That's not happening. The new coach at Florida will keep Jaden Baugh. Will keep Wilson. Those guys aren't going to go anywhere. They'll be paid handsomely to stay and get the new coach off to a fast start because they're going to hire a really good coach at Florida or a guy that's going to get people excited. Let's just say they get Lane Kiffin. Those guys aren't jumping in the portal and leaving. I mean, Florida's not going to let that happen. So we need to move on from those guys. But look, I think you get a role player. But here's the reality, Bobby. Who are they going to lose to the pros at running back?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I mean, there was a list that came out yesterday, Jerry, that had Trey Wisner, and this is I don't know the veracity of this list. So I'm not saying it's some name guy or whatever. I don't even know. And I don't even know if those guys know at this point in time.
Yeah.
But they had Trey Wisner, the number 7 running back in the NFL draft of a junior eligible and beyond. And they had CJ Baxter at 9. He's been injured. I mean, how do you even do that? But I'm just trying to tell you that, you know, do you even go if you're you might be able to make more in NIL if you're the number 7 running back than you would in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because the value of a running back in the NFL is decidedly different. You know, so we'll see.
I mean,
you know what I would say to that too? There would be nobody that would hate that more for Trey Wisner to return next season than the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, look, a lot of the rest of the season for Wisner will determine that. Right now, he's got 185 yards this season because he's been hurt. And so the rest of the season will decide that for Trey Wisner, I believe. I mean, look, if he stays healthy and productive, then he'll have a decision to make. But I think the rest of the season will play that out.
I know we have some other super chats to get to, Jerry, but I want to ask you one other question. Lane Kiffin takes Florida.
Yeah.
Derek Lagway doesn't really look like his type of quarterback.
I don't think he'll want him.
Yeah, so that's something to.
That's just my opinion. It's not like
no, I get it.
Yeah.
He doesn't strike me as a Lane Kiffin type of quarterback, and maybe I'm wrong.
Now maybe Lane looks at it as I'm going to show the world what I can do here.
Or he takes another guy in the portal that from Ferris State that nobody's ever heard of, and
yeah. By the way, behind the scenes, I've hit on this, but I think Marcus Freeman is everybody's number one that has a big job. Let's see if somebody can pull him. I don't think it'll be Penn State. I think Florida might have a chance there. We'll see. That's going to be interesting because I mentioned yesterday morning that I'd kind of been told that Napier could be gone by Sunday, win or lose against Mississippi State. It doesn't matter. They don't want him to have a chance to upset Georgia. And I know people are like, oh, there's no chance they're going to beat Georgia. Georgia's beatable this year. But if you upset Georgia, and it gets a lot more difficult to make the move if you get on a run there. So I could see that. I think some other people have ran with that throughout the day yesterday. I think something's going to happen there quickly, win or lose Sunday. It's like when when A&M fired Jimbo before the LSU game. There's certain games you don't want a guy to win if you think you need to make a change. But I think Marcus Freeman's going to be the number one guy for people, and I don't see him going to Penn State. I do think Florida could get interesting there because that's a guy that's recruited the state of Florida for a long time. He knows the talent down there. That could get interesting. I think some of the big money guys love the idea of Lane Kiffin because he's kind of their modern day Steve Spurrier. So we'll see which way it goes.
Interesting. Florida, an unfortunate loss for Texas in retrospect, but perhaps a necessary one at this point.
Jeff Carey has a super chat, and he says, my takeaway from Bobby is breeze through the next few games, then increase the intensity and physicality in 2 or 3 weeks. Just rest up for a few games.
No, that is not the truth. This team doesn't have that much margin for error, guys.
Yeah.
I just don't. Maybe y'all see it that way or somebody else does. But Cedric Baxter, if he needs to get 100% healthy, and Texas does not have that much margin for error. They need to keep improving. They can't take a step back this week. That would be the worst thing. They need to keep improving and getting more efficient. That's my opinion. I don't think Texas breezes any at all this year. The idea that they do went out the window against Florida. There's Jeff's trolling. That's fine. All right, now you got me. Texas doesn't need to breeze through anything this year.
It is what it is with the super chat. It says, good morning, guys. Do we break the bank for a top wide receiver in the portal or high school? It seems from the outside looking in. We don't have a Jeremiah Smith, Dallas Wilson, Cam
Coleman. Yeah.
Coleman. Yeah.
They don't. But, you're talking about 3 teams who do.
Yeah.
You're not talking about the world. I would say this, and the issue that comes up, Texas is young at wide receiver right now. Emmett Mosley's a true sophomore. Ryan Wingo, true sophomore. Parker Livingston, I think, is a redshirt freshman officially, but in that sophomore 2024 recruiting class. I don't know that they're going to go big-time portal receiver. The only one they might lose to the NFL right now is DeAndre Moore. So if I told you that DeAndre Moore was coming back along with those other 3, and then you have the freshman already there, and maybe you get somebody to kind of come on as a true freshman, I don't necessarily think that receiver is going to be a piece they look for in the portal. This all depends who goes pro and who doesn't, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Texas is better at receiver and I think they're faster and I think they're more athletic than given credit for. I don't care.
Hey, Ryan Wingo, Jerry. Ryan Wingo has the 4th fastest catapult time of any receiver in the country right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things he's got to play better, right, more consistently. And I don't care if you have Jeremiah Smith against Florida. What's he going to do if the quarterback is on his back the whole game? What's he going to do?
Yeah.
What's he going to pass pro? I know that's kind of smart ass remark, but I mean, on some level, I think Texas wide receiver talent is better than giving credit for. I'll say that. And is there a Cam? Yeah, I mean, is there a Cam Coleman? I mean, so you didn't even mention Ryan Williams, I don't think. But I mean, yeah, there's always going to be some guy out there better than what you have, unless you have the best guy in America at every position. So that conversation is going to go on and on. I don't think Texas is lacking talent. I don't think they're lacking speed. And I actually don't think they're lacking playmaking. They've just got to go get it done. I think they have enough. Now, does that mean they have the best player at every position in college football? No. But they have enough.
Bobby, before we get to our last few questions, tell us one more time about Adam Lowy.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam has been the sponsor of Wednesday's Coffee and Football for more than a year now. We appreciate him and his firm very much. Lowy Law Firm, if you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, from 18-wheeler to ATV, make sure you reach out to Adam and his group, loweylawfirm.com. They'll give you a free, no-strings-attached consultation to see if you might be due compensation. Again, that is loweylawfirm.com. Adam and his group have been helping injured Texans for more than 20 years. Thanks again to Adam and loweylawfirm.com.
I just want to say, because Dallas Wilson's being brought up in the chat a lot, it's going to be the same rumorvilles like Jeremiah Smith was rumorvilles. The new Florida coach and the Florida University people are not going to let Jaden Ball and Dallas Wilson walk out that door. Not with a new coach coming in, then he immediately loses his two guys. Not happening.
Yeah, I agree. They'll prioritize.
And Vernell Brown, by the way, who's really good too. Those guys will be paid handsomely to stay.
Yeah,
and
I
they
agree with
get
you.
school for a reason, and then they're going to be more excited with a new coach.
Stay on the portal talk here for a moment. Rocky P, thank you for your super chat. Is there any serious smoke with Chris Henry Jr.?
Unless, I mean, a lot of people are going to stay in contact with Chris Henry unless he shows up on campus. Zero. Jay Lott is where Texas fans should be focused, and I think Texas continues to have some positive conversations with Jalen Lott and his family.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
I got somebody ask me that. Like, look, Texas is going to try to talk to those guys, but some are easily – I mean, he's committed to Ohio State right now. He's not committed to North Carolina or Florida that's going to lose their coach, or Penn State that, you know, is in the tank.
Yeah.
I'm just some are more easily, you know, anyways.
Yeah. But I mean, look, Texas is talking to him, so it's a good question, but the reality is those are, unless the guy shows up on November 22nd, late in the process. By the way, update on recruiting stuff there. Where I'm hearing Drake Quinn is likely to be at November 22nd, barring playoff games, right? That's the tough thing right now with some of these guys. They're on really good teams. So November 22nd is a very strong possibility for Drake Quinn and his family. Also the possibility, and I wrote this on TexasFootball.com this morning, he takes another visit to Ohio State. So this is coming down to Ohio State and Texas. Not saying Tennessee can't win it, but I think they're third. Ohio State, Texas. Obviously, he's been on campus at Texas multiple times. Then Micah Smith, the new offensive line offer out of Vero Beach, still discussing with Kyle Flood in Texas, setting up an OV. Texas wants it to be November 22nd. That's when they're bringing in Braylon Hodge. Just mentioned Drake Quinn. They'll have a couple other guys. But, again, Vero Beach is 7-0. And they actually get their quarterback back. They've been winning without him, the stud sophomore, who I think Texas will offer soon as a top sophomore quarterback on the board for the Longhorns and about every other college in the country now in that 28 class. So they're going to get their quarterback back. They could go on a run. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how some of these guys shake out that are on really good teams. I think Kendall Gerville is still a possibility out there for Texas on defensive line. I would say this: Texas, Auburn, Ole Miss are continuing to battle Texas for Corey Wells, but both those schools have some issues recruiting against Texas, who has stability. Is that who knows what's going to happen with Hugh Freeze, and who knows what's going to happen with Lane Kiffin? So I think there's continued to be positive conversations there. Does that mean Texas is going to sign everybody committed? I'm not saying that at all, because I think they have a decision to make on somebody else that we mentioned before. But there's some positive things. Texas continues to recruit Malachi Lee. Their regular season ends this weekend in Hawaii, I believe. So we'll see. We'll see, because they start earlier. So I think they end mid-October, then go into their playoffs. They could be done by November 1st. So we'll see if there's a chance to get a Malachi Lee on campus in November. And we'll see what happens with the Michigan, Sharon Moore. So there's a lot going on in recruiting this year, right now, I should say, with the coaching carousel and whatnot. But Texas is, I think, the two offensive linemen to focus on, Malachi Lee and Micah Smith right now. We'll see if anybody else pops up. I think D-line could have a little shuffle there, but I still think they come away with 4 guys. Braylon Hodge at linebacker right now. I do think Texas wants another defensive back. We'll see if they make a senior offer. I think they're evaluating 2 or 3 guys in state and a couple of guys out of state. We'll see if they make a senior offer to anybody at DB. I do think they want one more DB in this class.
Hey, Jerry, speaking of coaching carousel, and you don't have to answer it right now, but would there be anybody that's committed to OU that might shake loose if they have to make a move with Brent Venables by the end of the year?
I'm sure
just a theoretical to throw out there.
Yeah, Texas and Oklahoma didn't really battle.
I know.
That's what I mean. Jake Krell.
Okay.
I mean, Jake Krell would be one potentially, but I think Drake Quinn's always been ahead of Krell on the board. I think they've always wanted him. I mean, I don't think Texas would take an interior OL like Noah Best, who Texas offered way back from Midlothian, really good player. I'm not sure they'd go back there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I see that right now. I'm not sure I see that right now in that class. But we'll see.
Got it. Okay. Just thought that was food for thought.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know, was Jake at the game Saturday? I don't know if you know that or not, Jerry.
I don't know if Jake Krell was at the game Saturday. I don't know.
I hadn't heard that.
All right. We've had a few people ask about Daniel Cruz this morning. We have a super chat regarding that, actually. This one from Jay Lee says, will Cruz be ready to step in at center next year?
Texas is extremely high on Daniel Cruz, and he is progressing and developing at that position. I think he'll very much be in the battle next year. I'll say that. Texas is very high on Daniel Cruz.
Connor Robertson would have one more year, right?
If he wants it.
Yep. Got it. Cole Hudson has to go, though. Yeah. Under current NCAA rules.
That's the other thing. If they go to 5, well, no, he still has to. No, he's not. He's a 4th-year senior. He could have one more.
That's what I'm saying. He's played every year.
Because I do think I talked to a couple of college basketball assistant coaches in the car last night, and they think that rule is coming, by the way. They think that's going to factor in for seniors this year who are 4th-year seniors. They continue to believe, and they're planning for it, that 4th-year seniors, they're going to go to a 5-year rule, and those guys who are true 4th-year seniors are going to have the option for an extra year.
Think about how many balls you have to juggle if you're the GM at Texas.
Oh, yeah.
In football. You got 85 scholarships. You don't know if you're going to have a 5th year. You don't know who's going pro, and you got a salary cap.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck,
yeah.
Brandon Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done well so far, but just throw another. Why don't we throw more, irons in the fire for him to have to deal with?
Yeah.
And everyone else like him. That's hard.
So
job.
Corey J asks, what are the details of this rule? Currently, right now, it is, it's a red shirt, and you can red shirt and play 4 years in your 5-year clock, right?
You have 5 to play 4.
5 to play 4. I think they're going to go to 5 to play 5. I think that's where it's coming. There's too many college football assistants, college basketball people. They're all saying it. They're expecting it. They're actually having conversations in their recruiting and coaching rooms and meetings about this happening. So I think everybody believes this is going to happen. So it's essentially going to be 5 to play 5. So anybody that's a 4th-year senior, true 4th-year senior this year, will have the opportunity or the possibility, whether it be at the school they're at or another school, to play one more year. So on football, some of those guys would be Ethan Burke, Cole Hudson, DJ Campbell's of the world. In basketball, on the Texas perspective, it would be Kendall Weaver, Jordan Pope. So that's kind of what these staffs at Texas, I think, are going to have some decisions to make.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. We want to thank Adam, along with Prize Picks, Ridge, SeatGeek, Hayes City, and Vaughn Lane, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. And Bobby, what can they tune into later?
Yeah, absolutely. We have State of the Program coming up. Jerry and Rod and I are actually going to give out some midway grades, midway through this 2025 season, the grades on each and every position. That'll happen around 11 o'clock today on State of the Program. Then we have Bingham's Bourbon Breakdown. That comes at you around 3 or 4 o'clock, where CJ, Rod, and I break down the game against the Kentucky Wildcats, followed by the live stream tonight. Each and every night throughout the week, we have a live stream around 7:15 that goes to around 8:30. If you guys have recruiting questions, team questions, etc., make sure you get those in there, just like you can here on Coffee and Football in the Morning.
All right, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live, post content, whatever it may be, and that way you don't miss a thing. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Hope you all have a phenomenal day today. So what you got?
Thanks also to Coach Schaefer for joining us early this morning. If you just now joined us, you might want to go back and catch his interview really early in the morning, right off the bat. And also thanks always to Tony Hills, who was a little subdued, I thought, today. Actually, he was not as
his wife clearly gave him decaf coffee and no cream. No cream. Clearly. Yeah. And by the way, I'm on the road. I am going to be at Hayward Howard Jr.'s practice this afternoon in New Orleans at Ed in the car. So going to go take a look. Going to go take a look at him today. Everybody's on fall break, so they're practicing a little early. So I had to hit the road yesterday to get last night to get halfway there, more than halfway there. I'm in Baton Rouge right now.
Red Stick.
I am. I'm here. Maybe I'll go meet with Brian Kelly for a while. See how he's doing. See how red his face is this week.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Longhorns.